people. Once the evidence is gathered, we evaluate the case and make a formal communication to the army. Until now, they have not replied to us, which is why the case is still open.
The work of the 18 UN volunteers in the Defensoría del Pueblo would not be possible without the help of the Irish government, which partly finances the programme. The UNDP, the United Nations Development Programme, which provides assistance upon request to governments wishing to promote and guarantee human rights, also supports their work.
Peru is a large country, and being so large and having been affected by serious problems such as terrorism for many years, there is a heritage of violence that needs to be dealt with. And we are talking about people living with less than $1 a day. The level of extreme poverty affects more or less 15% of the population. Those conditions are very harsh, and it is also understandable that under those circumstances, people will not quite know how to protect their rights. Basically, the population needs support in protecting their rights to access basic services and justice in particular. The best way to deal with this is to show empathy and to go where the people are.
The Defensoría del Pueblo is based in Lima, with 9 other branches in other parts of the country, focusing on areas worst affected by violence and human rights abuse. However, its work remains limited because of funding shortages.
Our trips into the community sometimes coincide with local feast days and celebrations. Today, for example, when we are going to the Pokhara district, we shall be listening to people's problems, offering them legal advice, giving them information on their rights, and noting any grievances. We go out into the community because very often the people in rural areas cannot come to town. It costs too much, and there are few lines of communication.
No hay medios de comunicación. Aquí estamos acompañados por un grupo de jóvenes y pobladores.
We have here with us a group of young people who live in this district and who, in the month of June, came to La Defensoría del Pueblo in Ayacucho and told us about a problem which affected 4 of them. They told us how a combined force of army and police arrested them and, against their will, took them away to do military service.
Contra su voluntad, los llevaron al cuartel para prestar el servicio militar.
Yo venía a Pokhara el día domingo, 21 de mayo.
I came to Pokhara on Sunday 21st of May. I came to buy things for school. I was sitting opposite the council offices of the Suarez de Pokhara Institute. 2 policemen dressed in civilian clothes invited me to look at the notices on the wall and took me inside the council offices. They locked me in and refused to let me out. I couldn't even go to the toilet.
Y me cerraron y no me querían soltar para ir a checar también.
Yo también le vine a la feria, Pokhara, siempre brought zapatillas.
I came to Pokhara too to buy shoes. Some soldiers arrested me and another person and took us to the council offices and forced us in by kicking us. It was also on May 21st.
Me metieron para adentro con patada, en 21 de mayo también.
Nosotros, una vez recibido el caso,
Well, once we got this case, as explained to us by the young men here present, we carried out a legal evaluation of the problem, and we coordinated everything, and then had a hearing before the commander of the 2nd Infantry Division of the Army, which is based in Huamanga province. We explained the problem to him and the legal implications of the case. Fortunately, a few days after our formal communication, he informed us that the young people had been freed from the military barracks.
Y habían sido soltados del cuartel.
From the high plateau of the Andes, which reach up to 5,000 meters, to the depths of the Amazon forest, UN volunteers go out to people in the most isolated regions, wherever they're vulnerable to violence and abuse.
Mis actividades están orientadas.
Since I started work in 1998, I've been visiting indigenous communities. On my visits, I have become aware of how little they know about their basic rights. La Defensoría del Pueblo tries to give the population an understanding of their rights, so that they know what rights they have in law. The rights to health, to life and to integrity, just like any other citizen.
We have a 70% success rate in resolving problems. If the office of La Defensoría del Pueblo did not exist, there would have been some serious human rights violations and cases which would have had to be treated in court. So we already have an established framework to resolve problems before we have to bring them before the courts. And this is particularly important for the more deprived sectors of the population, who simply cannot afford to pay lawyers' fees. If we didn't have the United Nations volunteers, it would be a serious setback. I can't say the office would cease to exist, but we would have to give up some very important work which we are carrying out in the most isolated parts of Peru. We would have to stop a number of activities, and we don't want to do that. We want to continue and to open up new areas with this fresh approach, this dynamism, and this different focus that the UN volunteers are able to bring to us.